NLT Illustrated Study Bible. Part 1. Welcome to Bible on the Go with Dr. Dan and our monthly review of Bibles and Study Bibles. And I have the NLT Illustrated Study Bible, and I love it. There's so much in it that I have to do it in 2 parts. And so, part 1, right at the beginning, this Bible says something that just lit me up and made me, right here it is, open my eyes, from Psalm 119, verse 18. It says, open my eyes to see the wonderful truths in your instructions. And can I tell you, the publishers at Tyndale and the compilers of this study Bible really took that verse seriously in what could we do to open the eyes of every reader. And I've got so many bookmarks in it. Let me show you. There are 3 pages of instruction on how to use all the functions in the NLT Illustrated Bible. And I have to tell you, there was so much here, I had to actually read through it to see what all it has. It has maps and timelines. It has background materials to read, Old and New Testament introductions for the 2 main sections of the Bible, and then section introductions and study notes. In the study notes, what they're doing is they're focusing on meaning rather than just throwing out information and expecting you to associate together. And another thing that's very interesting, like the Christian Standard Bible does, Study Bible does, is it has Hebrew and Greek word studies in the notes. So it takes you straight to the text and gives you meaningful notes with occasional word studies back to the original, which along with all the charts and maps and illustrations and timelines, which there's just an abundant amount of timelines. This is really one of the best study Bibles out there. The first 10 pages are a colorful overlay of biblical content. Look at that beautiful timeline. It's got a, kind of an academic timeline here. It's got pictures, illustrations, pictures of artifacts, dating of the instruments. For example, there's this overview of the events, okay? And then here's the section, here's the section of the Pentateuch, and it's showing up where all the events in the Pentateuch show up. So I think that's grand. For 10 pages, it's the full Bible overview. And a timeline for all the content areas, which you don't see in most study Bibles, where they give a specific timeline to each of the major sections of the content, as in the Pentateuch, the poetic, the historical. Absolutely thoughtful and amazing. And in terms of short articles that you'll find in some study Bibles, like this one, there's over 300 of them. And the combination of all of this together simply is overwhelming, like I haven't seen very often in most study Bibles. So let's look at these 2 charts. One is the Hebrew Old Testament, okay, showing you the grouping. If you were to look at how the Old Testament was grouped straight from the Hebrew, and then compared to the blue chart that shows you how the English Old Testament is organized, so that you can compare it really easy. All right. Now, I think I've seen this in another study, something similar in another study Bible, but the way this is laid out, they just push so much detail into it. It's just amazing. Ancient Near Eastern texts and artifacts. Okay, here's the thing. It gives the title of it, the date of it, the description, and then the scripture references where it parallels it. Okay, that's just good, because it just saves you a boatload of time. So here's an example in the Pentateuch of a section overlay, okay, which is really, really nice. And look at this picture in chapter 10. Okay, a lot of people ignore this, but the NLT Illustrated Study Bible just jumped right in on top of it. And in chapter 10 of Genesis is where we find a listing of the nations in the ancient world of the Middle Bronze Age. Now, the great archaeologist William F. Albright made a quote saying it was an astonishingly accurate list from that time period. And so what the editors of the NLT Study Bible did is they gave you a beautiful little picture of the Fertile Crescent and associated with that one chapter because it's so important as it relates to archaeology and dating of Exodus for that matter. I was talking to one of my colleagues about this Bible, and he said, does it tell anything about the differences between the 15th century date and the 13th century date of the Exodus? And in the Pentateuch, this is about the early and late Exodus in Exodus. That's fantastic, okay? Because you just don't see this in most study Bibles. This is graduate school stuff. It's Bible encyclopedia kind of stuff. And honestly, a good way to refer to the NLT Illustrated Study Bible is to say it's not a study Bible at all. It's a Bible encyclopedia with a full Bible text. That's how much is in this Bible. And then I want you to see this, okay? Look at this map, okay, of Jerusalem. That is absolutely beautiful and amazing. And I just love it. And I think that, the artwork along with the text, just really good. Okay, here I am in Kings. And this is a fascinating graphic timeline comparing the Assyrian timeline of the Assyrian kings with the kingdom of Judah. Right in the middle of there being a divided kingdom where you're just going from king to king to king in the country of Israel, and king to king to king in the country of Judah, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, prior to the first exile in 722, they just throw down this amazing timeline and help you understand it. It's absolutely grand and perfect and good, and I wanted you to see it. Here's another one, okay, another picture in Nehemiah of the rebuilding of Jerusalem, right in the middle of Ezra, okay, Ezra and Nehemiah, and the Medes and the Persians and a timeline and a map. I mean, it's so very good, okay? And here I am in the discussion of the prophets of Israel, okay? It's an overview that is absolutely grand. Look at this. Every single one of the prophets with an overview article and then sidelines describing what prophet is prophesying, what the general part of their message was, and whether they were a prophet before the exile, during the exile, or after the exile. It's just fabulous and unique to this study Bible compared to the rest. And then I have to tell you, these folks understand how important it is for timelines to help us understand the message of the prophets. And I couldn't love this part of it any more than I do. That's part one. Thanks for watching. Bible on the Go, Dr. Dan. If you like these videos, the best and most important thing, helpful thing you can do is to hit that red button called subscribe. You only have to do it once, and it's absolutely free.